The animations in Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem are very widely praised by almost anyone that's played the games. But, have you ever asked yourself, I wonder what FE Paint thinks about them? You should. What I think about things governs all of my decisions. Should govern yours too.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Alright. I wanted to do this for fun, because that's what tier lists are. They're fun, and definitely not something that's going to lead to arguments. The tiering is simple. How much do I think the sprite and animation work? How good do I think they are? S tier is for smoking soldiers. A tier is for alluring adventurers. B is for bodacious babes. C is for chimp chumps. And there is no D tier, because none of these animations are D or below. Now, without further ado, let us begin. Representing the Mercenary and Hero line, we have Garrick. And I think Mercenaries and Heroes are an A tier. I'm a big fan of anything that gets an insane amount of height. So the jump that a mercenary does for his basic attack, really good. I like that. The cocky, like, points your swords up and then, like, tilts it towards you, like, come at me, bro. When they critical, also amazing. And then heroes are really solid, too. I like the shield that they get for some reason, even though blocking doesn't exist in GBA FE, so I don't know what that shield is doing other than looking cool. And the height that they get when they jump back from hitting, really good. Mercenaries and heroes really love their airtime for some reason. But honestly, I think that really helps out the class. Yeah. Solid A tier. I think it's a good one. Now, representing the Myrmidons and then also the Swordsmasters, we have Rutger from FE6. And do I think they're smoking soldiers? Yeah, I'll say so. Yeah. Myrmidons and Swordsmasters basically bank on afterimages being really cool. And they are. Before we get to Swordsmasters, the little flip Myrmidons do when they crit's really cool looking. And the basic animation is like the basic attack animation for Myrmidons is a little boring, but whatever, there's only so many ways you can animate swinging a sword. The thing that I like about Swordsmasters crits, like, first of all, they go back, the 4 afterimages appear behind them, and it's a lightning fast strike. That looks really cool. But I also like how the beginning of a regular attack and a crit look the same. It's not like Generals, where they immediately start swinging their chains around. Or, Berserkers, where they immediately throw the axe in the air. Swordsmasters, for a brief moment, just a fraction of a second, do the exact same thing on a regular hit or a crit. So it kind of builds more anticipation of, are they critting, are they critting, are they critting? And if they are, that's usually really cool. Unless it's a Swordsmaster against you, in which case, you had a half second more before you shat your pants. Just a solid animation all around. I think the Swordsmasters are really good. The only thing that made me hesitate putting them in S was just because there were a lot of good ones. Now, representing Thieves, Rogues, and Ass-Inns, we've got Jafar. And I think Thieves and Assassins are going to go to the top of A tier. They're a type of class that, in my opinion, has their animations carried by one really fucking cool one. Thieves are kind of boring, but, you know, they're not exactly combat classes, so it's okay. I mean, the long cloak is kind of neat because they're thieves. Rogues for FE8 also aren't the greatest. I mean, the crit animation where they circle the sword and then swing with it, and then the flip that they do. You gotta love unnecessary flips, honestly. But what carries it is the assassin's critical animation, honestly. The flipping of the daggers and then the cut to black as an enemy dies, really good. And then when Silencer activates, the crimson flashes, or I think the purple flashes too, depending on the unit, the color changes, and that's cool, is just incredible. It really isn't much of anything, it's just balls on a black screen. But honestly, it looks really cool. And the fact that the after images appear when you get a Silencer crit, just awesome. The only thing holding it back from S is the fact that Thieves and Rogues are kind of boring. But, and also I'm not really a big fan of the Assassin's regular attack animation. Like, the suddenly, like, stabbing them, like, facing away from them is kind of neat, but it's not really my thing. Still really good, though. And that gets us through the infantry swords, and moves us on to Armor Knights, represented by our dear Oswin. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, FEMS Paint loves Armor Knights. They're his favorite class. He's just gonna give them S tier because he likes Armor Knights.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not just my bias here. Armor Knights in the Game Boy Advance games, though the quality of them as a unit is suspect at best, they look great. Knights have a lot of heft in every step. The shaking, the clinking of the armor and the sound effects, the thrust that they do feels really powerful. It's really good. That's fine. Whoever decided that generals are not walking up to their opponent and are instead thrusting their weapons with chains, that's so fucking cool. Generals are like, oh, you're 10 feet over there? I don't give a shit. And just throws the lance with a chain and brings it back. Unless you're a sword general in Sacred Stones, but It looks so goddamn cool. And then the critical animation with spinning the chain all around before you stab and kill them. That's so goddamn cool. Just genuinely some of the best animations out there. They look great. And it's not just my bias. Might be a little my bias. Slight bias. But not really my bias. But also my bias. Next up, because Game Boy Advance games do not have a playable soldier, I am borrowing Symphony from Fire Emblem 9 to represent the soldier class. They're not that interesting. They don't look that interesting. They don't attack that interesting. But, like, they're soldiers. They're the Goombas of Fire Emblem. They're the Goomba, they're the slime, they're the shadow, like... They're just weak enemies. Honestly, I was about to say that might be able to be powerful in numbers, but not really. They don't look that great. The life of a Game Boy Advance soldier is well documented as dog shit. So, they don't look that great either. Absolute chimp chumps. Now we go on to Fighters and Warriors, represented by our dear Bartray. I think I'm gonna say the bottom of A. For right now, like, bottom of A can change quickly. Fighters are okay. I do kind of like that because of the high damage they're doing, when they, like, chop on an enemy, they have to wait for the HP bar to go down. So sometimes a fighter will just lodge their axe into an enemy and then just stay in midair for a while. And that can be kind of funny. And warriors are also okay. The spiky shoulder pads are alright, but they're not my favorite design. What makes the warriors really great is their critical hit animation. I don't know why they're spinning around like they're fucking Top Man from Mega Man 3, but they look great. Really solid crit animation, Really solid animation for the Stage 1 class, which is uncommon for a lot of these. Just good. Genuinely, I like the warrior animations. Then we move on to brigands, pirates, and berserkers, represented by our dear Gonzalez. That's S tier. Berserkers are a very simple design. Big dude, big axe. You don't need much more than that. You really don't. The crit animation is iconic. Just throwing the axe up, grabbing it in midair, slamming it down on him. That's all you need. Really, that's all you need. Brigands have a yell in their crit animation, which is great. A battle cry for Gonzalez.
Victory screech!
And really only Gonzalez, because enemy brigands critting you, you have to try to let that happen. Just all in all, solid animations. I love the insane air that brigands get. They jump up, swoop down on you. The only thing holding it back from, like, higher up in S tier is the fact that pirates are kind of boring. I mean, they are dual-wielding axes. And it's like, okay. I don't know, I never thought their animations were very good. And their crit animation's kind of boring. They just cross the axes and then do a regular attack. But, even still, Berserkers and Brigands look so goddamn cool that I'm putting the class in S. And that does it for infantry axes. Just the two. Not too crazy. Then we move on to the only infantry archer class. Archer. They're chimp chumps. I mean, they're better than soldiers. It's just, you can't really make shooting a bow look that interesting. And I know, I just offended people everywhere. Archers have, like, a rabid fan base more than any other class, I think. Like, Archer fans don't go crazy for characters. They go crazy for the class. I just don't think firing a bow is that interesting, like, appearance-wise. Snipers do look pretty cool with the oversized bow that's, like, as tall as them. If not taller. And, like, that's cool. But, like, I just don't think the animations are that great, because there's only so many ways you can fire a bow. I don't know, it's not for me. If you are an archery fan, you'll probably like them more than me. But, I don't. Simple as. Simple as. Coming up next, we have the mounted units. Starting with the mounted sword and lance Cavalier and Paladin, represented by our dear Seth. Also, I forgot to say that archers were represented by Nemi. Seth, you can go back down here. I need to... Woo! Represented by Nemi! And then I'll put you back. Seth. Cavaliers and Paladins. I think they're top of A tier. Like, the Cavalier sprites are okay. I like that all their armors are color coordinated depending on the unit. That does make them look distinct. Paladins, however, I love the look of their armor and the color combinations on all of them. Allen, Lance, Trek, Noah, Zealot. Honestly, FE6 Eliwood. Kensei, like, they all look great. And I love the crit animation on Paladins. When they go back, they twirl their sword or lance, and then the horse charges in place. I don't know if real-life horses necessarily run in place like that, but it really sells the impact and speed of the crit in a really good way. I do have one problem with, Cavaliers and Paladins. And that's that Sacred Stones made a female Cavalier sprite, which is the same as male Cavaliers, but they have a ponytail. Even though the only female Cavalier you can get in Sacred Stones is Amelia, a woman with short blonde hair. Meanwhile, Ford, the man with long blonde hair and a ponytail, doesn't use that sprite. He uses the same short-haired sprite as all the other Cavaliers in the Game Boy Advance games. Because, you know, men don't have long hair. They just don't. Why make sprites for men with long hair when they just don't exist? It's a lie. We made it up. Ignore how there are actually multiple men with long hair in this tier list. Anyways, still look cool. Alright, so you're probably thinking I'm going to shit on Nomads, same as I did Archers. And I'm mostly going to do that. But I'm actually going to put them in B tier, because they are saved by one really cool animation. So, Nomads, again, they just kind of shoot their bow. Not really that interesting. But what really sells it is the Nomad Trooper sword critical hit animation. Not the bow critical animation. The sword critical animation for the Nomad Trooper class has the Nomad Trooper whisper something to their horse, and the horse is like, The horse jumps, and then the Nomad Trooper jumps up to like fucking Narnia or something, and then comes back down for the crit. It is such a good animation. I also like the little feather helmets that Nomad Troopers get. I think they look nice. Really clean sprite, and one really good animation. In my opinion, saves the Nomad Trooper class from being considered chimp chumps. So, there you go. Point 1 for Archers. Now we're moving on to Flyers. Wyvern Knights and Pegasus Knights have basically the same exact animations. They come in, they stab something. FE7 Nomad Troopers are represented by Wrath. I gotta remember to introduce the characters. Representing Wyvern Riders, we have Myrrh, Melody. I don't give a shit what the official translation is. I just call it whatever tickles my fancy at the time. Melody. And representing Pegasus Knights, we have our dear Princess Tana from Sacred Stones. Wyvern Riders and Pegasus Knights have basically the same animations. They swoop in, they stab, they fly in the foreground, which is kind of cool, and swing on back to reposition themselves at the end. The promotion for Falcon Knight and Wyvern Lord, same exact thing. They just swoop in, they stab, swing around, they're quick, they look cool, they look good. Wyverns technically have an edge up because of the Wyvern Knight class introduced in FE8, which basically looks less bulky, but looks sleeker and faster, which I think is really cool. But even with that, considering that they have the exact same animations, it comes down to what looks cooler, a Pegasus or a motherfucking dragon. Yeah, I'm going to pick the dragon. They are both A tier. I think they're both pretty high in A tier. I think I'll put them above assassins. Does that look right to me? Yeah, I'm gonna say that looks right to me. Feel free to disagree. If you like dragons or Pegasuses a lot, then you'll probably put them higher or lower, depending. But I think they're both really good. I really do like to fly in the foreground. It helps sell the speed. The idea of like a guerrilla attack. You attack, fly over, and reposition yourself. Solid. And that is all the generic physical classes, I think. Am I forgetting one? I don't think that I am. Alright. Now we have magic. Starting with the mage class, represented by Nino from FE7. She'll do her best. And mages and sages are difficult to place, because mages and sages have very quick, kind of boring animations, but they have to, because if you had to wait for a long mage animation and then a long anima magic animation, that would just take too long. But so I'm gonna also kind of judge them on how good anima magic looks. And honestly, all magic in the GBA games look great. I'm gonna put mages at A tier. below assassins. And that's not because Jafar and Nino belong together and you shouldn't separate them. That's absolutely sheer coincidence. The thing is, like, fire looks really good. It's, it's quick. The mist is kind of neat. Thunder is thunder. Hellfire looks really good. The twin fires going down, then the pillar of flame. Fimbultfur you almost never see, but it looks kind of cool. Bolting with all the, like, sporadic bolts, and then the bolt that hits, really good. Anima looks good. Sages look good. If I can speak for one thing in particular for Sages, though, it is the fact that when they crit, those motherfuckers point. Their crit animation is, they point in a triangle, little, like, glyphs appear, and then they do their regular animation. As a kid, I don't know why I clung to them pointing so much, you know, dumb kid shit. But just the force at which they point, Phoenix Wright would be looking at them and going, whoa, calm down there. It looks great. Solid magic, solid animation, good sprites, good. I do like me some mages. Now, light magic, with the monk class represented by our dear Lucius. I'm gonna put them at the bottom of A, though they're still really good. Light magic, lightning looks good, shine looks good, divine, again, they really liked pillars. And by they really like pillars, there's just divine and Elfire, so I don't know. All the light magic looks really good, S-rank light magic looks divine, and no pun intended. Monks, I do like the little sparkles they do when they raise their hand. They look kind of nice. And then the crit animation when they're, like, in deep prayer, saying, God, if you're listening to me, please smite this motherfucker where he stands. And then critically hits. Solid. The only reason that they're lower than mages is I just think anima magic looks that slightest bit cooler. But still, monks look really good. I guess bishops are the promotion for both clerics and monks. Bishops are okay. Again, their animations are quick, not the most interesting, but that's because they're not supposed to be. The emphasis is on the magic, and light magic looks really good. Now I know what you're thinking. Old F.E. Paint really loves his dark mages. So, Sophia here, representing dark magic, is going to go to the top of S tier.
Good guess, but actually no.
Going to the bottom of S tier, because dark magic looks fucking cool. Flux, mwah. Luna, mwah. Nosferatu, mwah. Eclipse, mwah. Fenrir, all of them look great. Shamans actually managed to fuck up something every other animation in the Game Boy Advance games does really well. They aren't snappy. Shamans' attack animations, when they're holding the, like, glyph of dark magic in front of them, and then putting their hands up like they're Goku giving away a Spirit Bomb, it's a slow animation. Combine that with Flux being the most common dark magic tome, and Flux is also one of the slower animations in the game, they're not snappy. Either, like, Shamans needed to charge their glyph faster, or Flux needed to be faster. But those two combined, I feel like Shamans fuck up the snappiness just a little bit too much for me. Still, though, dark magic looks so fucking cool, I don't actually give that much of a shit. But with that, I can't put it towards the top of S tier when it fucks up one of the most important things animation in JRPGs should do. Moving on to our staff unit, represented by the lovely Natasha from Sacred Stones. I'm gonna put them at the bottom of maybe the top of Bodacious Babes. Healing, like, first of all, staff magic is very boring. The animation is just like, they hold up their stick. Same for bishops, same for clerics, same for fathers, whatever. But I do kind of like healing animation. Like, every single healing animation is a different ball. A blue ball, a big blue ball, really big blue ball, and then sometimes, if you're spicy, a green ball. But the sound effect for it is actually really good. Status staves are also pretty nice. Like, sleep being that, like, circle spot. Like, hold on. The sleep staff in Fire Emblem GBA games kind of reminds me of the whirlwinds from Spyro. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. And plus, they do build a lot of anticipation of when a unit of yours is targeted with sleep, and you see that little sparkle go down, and you're like, please no, 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 please no. That's pretty good. Silence being the triangle's nice. Berserk being so quick is actually kind of funny. Just some solid staff and like some solid magic animations redeem the very boring holding up your stick to heal animations. In my opinion. In my opinion. Next up, we have the Troubadour. I mean, same thing. Troubadours and Valkyries and Mage Knights. I mean, I guess I'll put Mage Knight ahead of them. A Troubadour ahead of Cleric, just because the Mage Knight class introduced in Sacred Stones, like the critical animation when they hold the ball of magic in front of them and then hold their hands out, I think that looks cool, and that's enough. But other than that, it's the exact same thing as everything else, just carried by good staff animations. Not bad, but... Next, representing the Dancer class, we have our dear Prince Elfin. Troubadours are represented by Larchelle. I'm really bad at this. Now, it is true that every Dancer has slightly different animations. Like, Lalum, Tethys, and Ninian all have distinct animations of each other. And then Elfin and Nils have different bard animations, because they play different instruments. They're all basically, like, they're close enough that I don't feel the need to put all 5 different characters on here. I'll put them towards the bottom of Bodacious Babe. Like, honestly, what makes the refresher units in GBA games animations work is their theme song more than their, animation. I mean, Lalum having the heart when she jumps is kind of cute. Elfin having the little birdie go cheep cheep. Nils doing a little dance. Like, they all have their own little charms. You know what? Now that I'm actually saying it out loud, I actually really like their animations. I think I'll put you in Allure and Adventurer, actually. Like, towards the bottom. Like, the more I was talking, I was like, huh, I actually think I really like these. Alright. And there we go. That is all of the generic animations in the Game Boy Advance games. Now, next up, I have them separated by unique animations for characters and classes that only exist in that particular game. Lords, main villains, Manicheets. Oh my god, I forgot. Hold on. Where is he? And also Hawkeye for some reason. Why the fuck does he have unique animations? But I digress. Starting off with Roy... yeah. His basic attacking animations when he just does the thrust and jumps back, I'm not too into that. But Roy does get carried, much like the Nomad Trooper right next to him, by how cool his critical animation is once he promotes. The flaming sword as he swings it down, that's just cool. Setting a sword on fire is just objectively a cool thing. I mean, we all watched Yu-Gi-Oh! We all saw Flame Swordsman. It's cool. Flame Swordsman is cool. But other than that, Roy's animations aren't the greatest. Merlinus. You're only ever going to see these animations if he gets attacked. And, like... he's a man with a big wagon. It's like nothing. He doesn't have an attack animation, though. All I can judge for him is the quality of the transporter sprite. Which... okay. Looks alright. But, like, it's Merlinus. Even if Merlinus had cool animations, he doesn't deserve to be above C tier on anything ever because he's fucking Merlinus. I love that guy. He does nothing but suck, but he's so great at it. Now we're moving on to Faye. I'm putting Faye in S tier. Her sprite is actually really clever because it's not this big, actual, intimidating dragon. Faye's a child. She's a little girl. I think she's like a toddler even. Maybe a little older than a toddler, maybe. So her dragon looks very youthful. It still has feathers, which gives implications about how dragons are in Fire Emblem Land. I think she looks great. The breath that she shoots, the divine breath, great, solid. I think Faye looks really good. I like how her sprite and combat don't look like a fierce dragon, but they're not supposed to be. And that also ties into the story of FE6. And that's right, even in a video about sprites and animation, I can still judge things for how well they integrate into the story, because, by God, this is my life. Solid animations all around. And we move on to Zephiel. Fucking looks cool. He's fucking massive. Alright? Zephiel's sprite towers over everything. I think even Faye might be small. Well, Faye might be a little bigger than him. But that's just a testament to the absolute size of this unit. And then when he moves, I don't know how the fuck his sword works. How it, like, extends from what looks like it's a trident into a sword. Fucking awesome. And then his critical animation when he spins and throws that shit down on you. Absolutely phenomenal. Zephiel just has really good animations. Solid, great. Damn shame about the dying, though, but, you know, who gives a shit? Next up, John here, or Jan. Joan, whatever his name is, he's representing the fire dragons. And they're fucking dragons. They transform, they look really intimidating, and then they breathe their incredibly damaging fire breath on you, and you just kind of have to deal with it because it's scary. Dragons are cool. I do not think that it's really a contest. Especially who watching a Fire Emblem channel thinks dragons aren't really cool? Does anyone in the comments think dragons aren't cool? No, you don't. But wait, what if dragon are fucked up and evil? Raiden's Dark Dragon design looks great. I really like the color purple. So, like, that's an easy go right there. Her breath looks great. The sheer size of her is very well portrayed. Just a good design. Again, how am I supposed to describe how cool dragons are? They're dragons. Like, listen, Zephiel might have had some problems, but when he was like, dragons are the shit and humans suck, kind of had some points. Some points there. But alright, there we go. FE6, we have learned that dragons are really cool. Roy is not. I like Roy. As a character, I think he's a good lad. But get better animations. And better unit quality. Unfortunately, unit quality is not what we're going to have for our next contender. Lyn! On the one hand, she does kind of just rip off Myrmidons, because she has the same afterimage shtick when she crits. And Lyn is basically just a Myrmidon without a crit bonus. But, like, the Myrmidons were cool. If you're gonna rip off something that's good. Something about Lyn, and this is true for Eliwood and Hector as well, is I really like how they get a unique critical animation for their ultimate weapons. Lyn gets the, like, after images and then the 5 strikes on the opponent, and that looks really cool. So, just her animations are great. Again, they follow the exact same principle as Myrmidons and Swordmasters, but it's Lyn. And she gets an extra animation with the Soul Kati. I got nothing else to add. It looks cool. Like, what more do you want from me? Eliwood, actually... Now, at first, Eliwood isn't the greatest. He's kind of similar to Roy in that his animations don't look... they look okay. They're serviceable, The flip he does when he crits is actually pretty nice. I don't remember if Roy also does a flip. I might need to check that later. What Eliwood gets is a really cool-looking promotion crit. When he goes back, when he's on his horse, it like, rears up and neighs a battle cry. And I think that's really cool. So, I'm going to put him in A tier towards the bottom. I think his standard animations aren't the greatest. When he promotes, they get a little faster, a little snazzier. And then that crit animation is great. I just really love the horse doing a battle cry. I just think it's nice. It's like how brigands do a battle cry. I just like battle cries. Hector might surprise you because he's an armor knight, but I actually don't like a lot of Hector's animations as his base class. He, like, jumps up, but he doesn't quite get the same really ridiculous air as mercs and nomad troopers or the brigands and the like, and he doesn't carry the same heft as armor knights. So you might be surprised I'm putting him towards the top of A. And that is purely because of one really fucking sick animation, and that's the Armads crit animation, which might be the best animation in the game. I'm just gonna let it speak for itself. Now, if you would like to disagree that that's not the sickest shit you've ever seen in the world, I don't want to hear it. I don't care about your opinion. Because that's the sickest shit in the world. Why the fuck does Hawkeye have unique animations? Honest to, like, I like Hawkeye. I think he's cool. But, like, why? I don't even think they're necessarily as cool as the Berserker animations normally. Like, they're still cool. He's still a big man with a big axe. But, like, him spinning doesn't quite carry the same crit oomph as the Berserker throwing the axe in the air. I still think it's good. Like, it's good. It's just, you know, I have Berserkers in S tier, and Hawkeye's in A tier. And why? Why does Hawkeye get his own animation? I don't get it. Still cool looking. It's just... why? Athos is the most wizard to ever wizard, and because of that, I'm honestly putting him in S tier. This just depends on your fondness of wizards. Because literally all Athos needs is the pointy hat. And he is your classic fantasy Tolkien-inspired wizard. And I think they all look really cool. It's like how I just love skeletons. Something about skeletons, wizards, I just think they look cool by default. If you're not as into the wizard aesthetic, you probably would put Athos lower. Like, you don't think his sprite's that interesting, and I get that. I just like Greybeard. I think he looks cool. And he also needs the pointy hat. The fact that he's a wizard without the pointy hat is just a crime. Still, though, solid animation. I guess Forblaze is technically his unique tome, even though modern Fire Emblem tries to act like it's Lilina's, even though even in FE6's context, it was described as belonging to Athos. And Forblaze looks cool as shit, too. So, solid. Solid animation. Solid sprite. Nergal's top of S tier. Nergal looks the fucking sickest in the game. Druid is essentially a tier 3 class before tier 3 classes existed. He looks so large, so imposing. His dark magic looks fucking horrifying. He is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I adore Nergal. Like, there's really nothing else I can say because it's fucking Nergal. Look at him. In awe at the size of this lad. Absolutely love that design. Yes, it's my bias against dark mages. And, you know, just things in cloaks. I like shadow wizards. Alright? Fuck off, they're cool. Solid. Completely great. No notes. 8. Left no crumbs. God bless. And then we're moving on to Sacred Stones. And I know what you're saying. Oh, F.E. Paint. Eirika's your... I'm not even going to do this bit this time. I actually think Eirika isn't in A tier like the rest of the characters. I think she's just a bodacious babe. Same with Ephraim, because they both kind of had the same problem. I think a little better than Roy. I do think Roy has the worst animations of the three. And Roy and Eirika have, in my opinion, again, my opinion, have the opposite problem of every other class in the game, where they kind of lose some sauce when they promote. On the ground, Eirika's animations are good. I like the fact that she fights with the rapier because she was taught how to use swords by a dude who uses lances. So she really just understands, like, things that can also work with a spear, like lunges and thrusts. And the crit animation of her just jumping back more and then thrusting with more speed and oomph, good. Ephraim, his basic animation, it is kind of just a stab, but his crit animation where he twirls the lance all around, really good. When they promote, I actually don't like their animations as much. Like, yes, it's the beautiful twins of Renee riding into battle on pure white stallions, and like, that's cool and all. First of all, Eliwood already did that. They're ripping off Eliwood, taking his whole flow. Second, when Eliwood crits, that bitch neighs. Eirika and Ephraim just don't have, like... Eirika leans back, she, like, twirls her sword a little, and it's not... doesn't have nearly as much oomph as she did unpromoted. And Ephraim just does his attack a little faster. I might be misremembering. But that's the thing. I can't even remember a Lord's critical animation. That's a problem. Like, I don't know. Part of me thinks they should have just stayed on their feet and gotten, like, cooler animations. I don't know. I love Eirika. I love Ephraim. They lose some sauce. They just do. Ross is here representing all of the trainees. Ewan, Amelia, and Ross all kind of operate under the same principle. And that's that their animations... they kind of suck at what they're doing a little bit. Ewan kind of almost falls backwards when he's chanting magic. Amelia almost more so trips into the enemy than actually attacking them. And Ross just very slowly chops. But because they're inexperienced trainees, I think that really works. I'm gonna put them in the middle of A tier. Because it's cute. Ross, Amelia, and Ewan are cute. They're not quite warriors just yet when you get them. They're inexperienced. They need to get there. And their animations reflect that in a fun way. I think they're good. Good. Myrrh is a motherfucking dragon. Except unlike Faye, Myrrh is meant to look intimidating. Because Myrrh's character is about how she knows she's too much of a monster to be around human beings, but she's too much of a human to be around monsters. So her dragon design is very large, very menacing. I actually think Myrrh's dragon design is the most menacing in the entire franchise up until that point. Like, okay, hold on. Medeus in FE3 is pretty fucking spooky. Even still, she is comparable to Medeus. And it looks good. The fire breath is very vibrant and colorful. The dragon design is great. It is just a really good sprite. Really good animation. Fantastic. Now we get to Lyon. Naglfar looks really fucking cool. So, like, he's a little better than Athos. The problem is the Necromancer class animation isn't the greatest. He kind of just, like, does his cape and then fires. And that's it. I've cosplayed as Lyon before, so he gets points for that because I love him. But he's really being carried by how fucking cool Naglfar looks. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But he is being carried by how cool Naglfar looks. And I'm sorry. Still. However, there is one thing I'm missing, and that's because this tier list doesn't have it. The Sacred Stones monsters. We will represent them with Myrrh. They're all S tier. Like, all of them. Most of them probably towards the bottom, but I love monster designs. And fucking, the zombies are slow, but the force they come down with is great because they're zombies. Skeletons are skeletons. I was literally saying earlier that they're my favorite monster. They look great. My youth dogs and Guidleys, whatever, they fucking sick the hounds on you. They're great. The centaurs look cool. Moguls look great, especially the crit animation where their eye gets bloodshot. That looks fucking awesome. Zombie dragons are zombie dragons. They're like the only thing that rival Nergal, and how fucking cool that is. Cyclopses look large, ugly motherfuckers. They're great. Gorgons are great. Demon Surge is a great spell. They're all amazing. Literally, all of them are great. I love Sacred Stone's monsters. And yes, unless I forgot one, but I don't think I did. Hi, I'm here in post to say that I did forget one. The Demon King. Literally my favorite villain design in the series. Literally, probably my favorite of all the animations in the GBA games, and I just forgot him. Go figure. He's represented by Volter, because if anyone represents the King of all evil, it's him. Everything looks so cool with the Demon King. I adore how one of his main attacks as a magical demon is to just punch you. Just to punch you. His magic attack is really cool, but you're never going to see it because that requires him to live more than one turn. Everything about the Demon King looks fucking awesome. Hands down, the best design in the entire series. Okay, not in the GBA games. You know what? Fuck it. Best design in the series, Demon King. Fucking fight me. Absolutely amazing. I am deeply ashamed that I forgot him. I apologize. Never forget that one Cypher card that really drills in just how fucking huge he is. God, I love Mortis.